Okay, so I want to talk about queues as a forward-looking metric. This is something I got from Don Reinertson. People talk about cycle time and lean a lot, but it's really a lagging indicator. In other words, it's a measure of what's happened. But queue size is more useful in many ways as far as seeing what to do. And he relates the story of, somebody measured the cycle time from when somebody was at the beginning of airport security until they got through airport security. So, wow, it took an hour. And then they act on it, but they could have just seen from the size of the queue that there was a problem. So we want to manage work in process by managing queues. And this is kind of a paraphrase of some of the work in principles of product development flow. So delays and queues are related. We want to notice this because it gives us some facility in making changes in what we do. So like at an airport, how long will it take to go through security? That's interesting. You can ask somebody that and you might get a response. The lines are short, you won't have a problem. Now, what's interesting is the question that was asked related to time, but the answer was related to length of the queue. Yet you totally understand what's going on. There's a direct relationship here. We see this all the time, and in fact, just go to the, cycle time will tell us what has happened, but queues will tell us what will happen. This is one of the things that's ignored a lot in the Agile space. How do we look to make predictions of what will happen? Queues are a way of doing that. By the way, you do this on an everyday basis every time you go to the grocery store. You picked a line. I'm particularly bad at it at grocery stores. I joke to my wife, well, let's see, I'm going to pick which line is the slowest. And she just chuckles. I said, I'm not trying to do it. It's just an innate ability. I think I actually break equipment. Anyway, items waiting in queues represent delays in workflow. And the larger the queue size and the larger the items in it create greater delay. Okay, and we see this. There's a lot of value from our day-to-day experience in this. The larger delays, the greater the waste that's created, and the larger the queues due to added work. So it's a bad cycle. Things just get worse on us. So we want to recognize value streams visualize time. Kanban board visualizes queues. Both visualize delays. So think about Kanban boards with separate columns ready, which is the right way to do it, by the way. If you just have this work, this work, this work, this work, and you don't have any queues for the delays between the steps, then you're not doing it right. Kanban boards should have a ready column in between all the steps. That's ready for work and isn't delayed, okay? These columns visualize waiting times. Now, this top part of the screen, and I've got that arrow, I forgot to put the animation in. This top part of the screen was in an earlier session on value stream mapping. What we want to see, and then I don't do all of them here, but see this request is a column in the Kanban board. This delay is a ready in a Kanban board. Okay, the number of stickies down here should correspond to the delays. Larger delays will have more stickies in them or bigger stickies. But there is this relationship. On YouTube, there is a old Net Objectives video saying convert a value stream map to a Kanban board. Okay, I'll put a link to that so you can find it, and I do it step by step, but you get the idea. These are actually representing exactly the same thing. This top part and this bottom part, just one is doing it with time and one is doing it with stickies. Now, there's an advantage to this. Tools don't do this for you very often, but they will do this for you. You can see this instantly. And some tools will do this, and that's useful, actually, this top part. That'd be useful. So how do we manage queues becomes the question. Okay, work in process limits are one way. I find this is important when there are specialized skills, but if the team is more or less able to get things done mostly with any combination of people, it's not that important. Then the overhead at the column level is sometimes just a lot of extra work and people don't have the discipline for it. There are others that take less discipline and just as effective. One thing is look to remove something from a queue before adding something to another queue. This is like the, stop starting and start finishing. If you finish something, you've removed it from a queue by finishing it. If you start something, it's gonna, when you're done with that, it's gonna go into somebody else's ready queue. Or look to see what you can finish before look to see what you can start. It's just another way of saying it. Just a question of getting it so people can understand things. So this is a quick one. It's mostly delays and queues are related. Items waiting in queues represent delays in workflow. Value streams visualize time. Kanban board board show queues. We must manage queues by managing work in process. And the important thing here, I know these little things sometimes seem like silly and obvious, but people tend to forget this. I could put Edgar Schein's comment up on almost every deck I have, which is we don't think and talk about what we see. We see what we're able to think and talk about. And we forget a lot of stuff. And if we don't put it in front of us, it's a problem because we stop thinking about it.